People think being alone is a bad thing. They treat solitude like it's something to escape from. The second they're left with their own thoughts, they run to their phone, to Netflix, to meaningless conversations. Because silence is uncomfortable. But what if I told you that silence is where transformation begins? What if being alone isn't punishment, but preparation for something greater? Most people don't realize this, but every person who's ever done something remarkable, every visionary, every leader, every fighter, they all had a period where they disappeared. They went silent. They stepped away from noise, from distractions, from people who didn't understand them. Because you can't build clarity in chaos. You can't build strength while seeking constant validation. You build it in solitude. When you're alone, there's no one to impress. There's no one to lie to. No fake smiles. No pretending that you've got it figured out. It's just you, raw, unfiltered, and honest. And that's terrifying for most people, because facing yourself is the hardest thing in the world. You can't scroll away from your thoughts. You can't mute your insecurities. You have to look at them one by one and decide what you're going to do about them. That's why solitude isn't a curse, it's your mirror. It shows you what needs fixing, what needs healing, and what needs to be left behind. But most won't stay long enough to see the reflection. They'll run back to noise before the lessons arrive. Because solitude requires courage, the courage to sit with discomfort, the courage to be misunderstood, the courage to work quietly when no one's cheering you on. And that's exactly why it's preparation. Because the world you want, the success, the impact, the freedom it demands, that version of you who's been built in silence, the one who doesn't crumble under pressure, the one who doesn't need applause to keep moving, the one who's self-disciplined, self-aware, and self-led. That version of you isn't built in crowds, it's built in solitude. You see, when you're surrounded by people all the time, it's easy to get lost in their energy. Their opinions, their expectations, their noise, it all blends into your head until you can't hear your own voice anymore. But when you step away, when you intentionally isolate yourself, the fog begins to lift. You start to hear your inner voice again. You start to realize what you actually want, not what you were told to want. That's when your focus sharpens. That's when you start building routines that serve you instead of distract you. You start reading, training, creating, thinking not for show, but for growth. Because now you're not doing it to prove something to others. You're doing it to prove something to yourself. People won't understand that phase. They'll think you're antisocial, arrogant, or too busy. Let them think that. While they're talking, you're transforming. While they're partying, you're preparing. Because when your moment comes, and it will, you'll be ready. You'll have the discipline, the mindset, and the foundation that others never took time to build. There's a quote I live by: one day, you'll be grateful that you stayed alone long enough to find yourself. Because solitude teaches you what the world can't: patience, focus, and peace. It's where you learn to rely on yourself, where you stop seeking external permission to move forward. The longer you sit in that silence, the louder your purpose becomes. Think about it: the gym, the grind, the early mornings, the late nights. No one's watching you then. No one's posting about your effort. But that's the point. That's where champions are made, not in front of the world, but behind closed doors. You don't see the roots growing under the soil, but one day the tree stands tall and unshakable. That's what solitude does for you. It builds your roots deep enough to handle any storm. So stop seeing your isolation as a problem. Stop crying about who left, who doesn't text back, who doesn't believe in you. None of that matters. The people meant for your next chapter won't be found in your current one. Right now, your focus should be on becoming so solid that no one's absence shakes your peace. This is the time to work on you, your body, your mindset, your goals, your habits. Because the version of you that achieves everything you dream of, they're not built in comfort, they're built in quiet, relentless solitude. Use your loneliness, turn it into fire. When you feel like nobody understands you, remember that it's because you're doing something most people won't even attempt. That feeling of being alone, it's a sign that you're evolving. You're shedding your old skin, breaking free from the crowd, and preparing to enter a new level. The world wants you distracted. It wants you comfortable, dependent, and weak. But you're different. You're choosing solitude because you understand it's the only path to strength. You're not avoiding people out of fear. You're avoiding noise out of purpose. You're building your empire in silence, so when it's time to show up, you'll be undeniable. So the next time you sit in your room and feel that silence pressing against you, smile. That's not emptiness, that's potential. That's the universe giving you space to grow. Don't waste it. Don't rush to fill it. Sit in it, work in it, build in it, Because one day, when you're standing where you've always wanted to be, you'll look back and realize. Solitude was never punishment. It was the greatest gift you were ever given. You keep waiting for someone to notice you, someone to believe in you, someone to say, "I'm proud of you." But that moment never comes, does it? You post your work, you grind in silence, you make progress, and still, it feels like nobody cares. That's because the world doesn't reward potential. It rewards results, and results come when you stop chasing validation and start chasing vision. Validation is a drug. It feels good for a second, but it leaves you empty afterward. It keeps you dependent on opinions, likes, comments, and approval from people who don't even know what they want from their own lives. You give your power away every time you need someone else to tell you that you're on the right track. You wait for permission to move, when in reality, you're supposed to give yourself permission. You keep asking for signs from the universe when the sign is already inside you. It's called desire. Most people never build anything meaningful because they're too focused on being liked. They want to fit in, not stand out. But here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you start following your vision, you'll lose people. Friends will stop calling. Family might not understand. Strangers will criticize. That's the cost of alignment. The more you move toward your purpose, the more you'll trigger people who have settled for comfort. And that's okay, because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be remembered. When you live for validation, you live small. You start playing defense in life. You make safe decisions because you're afraid of being judged. You hide your ambitions so you won't look too much. You water down your potential to make others comfortable. But when you live for vision, everything changes. You stop asking, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What do I think?" You stop waiting for approval and start building regardless. You stop explaining your dream and start proving it through action. Vision doesn't require applause. It requires faith. It's something only you can see. It lives inside your imagination, your gut, your instincts, and it's fragile at first, easily broken by other people's opinions. That's why most people abandon their vision early. They show it to the wrong audience and get laughed at. They start doubting themselves because someone who never built anything called their dream unrealistic. But remember this, no one with more success than you will ever mock your vision, only the people behind you will. So protect it, guard your vision like a seed, plant it deep within you and water it with consistency. Don't talk about it too early. Don't seek approval from people who don't share your hunger. Just work. Every day, quietly, consistently, until one day, they'll have no choice but to see what you were building all along. You don't need everyone to understand your path. You just need to understand it yourself. You're not lost, you're early, you're not behind, you're building the people you look up to today. At one point, they were ridiculed, doubted, ignored. No one believed in them, no one clapped for them. They just kept going. They had vision when no one else could see it. And that's exactly what made them unstoppable. Think about this. When Elon Musk was talking about sending rockets to Mars, people laughed. When Steve Jobs said he'd put 1,000 songs in your pocket, people doubted him. When Iman Gadzhi dropped out of school to build a business, people called him crazy. Every visionary sounds delusional before they're proven right. That's the price of having sight before others. But those who keep walking despite the noise, they're the ones who end up changing everything. The world doesn't need more people who play it safe. It needs people with the courage to look stupid for what they believe in. It needs builders, creators, and leaders who are so focused on their purpose that they don't even hear the noise. Because here's what happens when you stop chasing validation. You become dangerous. You stop reacting emotionally to opinions. You stop wasting time explaining yourself. You start executing. You start moving with intention. You start building a life that aligns with who you truly are, not who others expect you to be. Validation is fleeting, but vision is forever. Validation dies the moment the applause stops. Vision keeps you going even when no one is watching. It's what gets you out of bed when you're exhausted. It's what pushes you to work when the world is asleep. It's what keeps your fire alive when doubt creeps in. Vision gives you direction, purpose, and peace. You no longer need motivation because you have meaning. And the funny thing is, once you stop needing validation, it starts to come anyway. The same people who doubted you will start asking for advice. The same friends who laughed will want to collaborate. The same world that ignored you will celebrate you. But by then, you won't care because you'll realize the validation was never the goal. It was just noise. The real goal was building something that mattered. You have to learn to move like you already have the approval you seek. Act like it's already yours. Speak with conviction. Work with purpose. Believe without evidence. That's how you manifest vision into reality. The world responds to certainty. It doesn't follow the one who seeks approval. It follows the one who knows where they're going. So stop waiting for someone to tell you that you're ready. You are ready. Stop waiting for support. You are the support. Stop waiting for the world to believe in your dream. You are the believer. Everything you need to start is already within you. The moment you realize that, you become free. Every time you catch yourself craving validation, remind yourself of this. Approval from others will never fill the void of not believing in yourself. You have to give yourself the credit first. You have to move like you already deserve it. Because you do, you don't need the world to clap. You just need to keep walking every day with vision in your mind and discipline in your actions. In a world full of noise, be the one with direction. In a world full of followers, be the one with a mission. Don't let temporary opinions kill a permanent purpose. People will always talk, but their words fade. Your vision, if you protect it, if you feed it, if you fight for it, it will outlive them all. So when you wake up tomorrow and feel like nobody sees you, remember, you were never meant to be seen right now. You were meant to be building. You were meant to be preparing. You were meant to be sharpening your vision until it becomes reality. Because once you stop needing validation and start trusting your vision, you stop living for others and finally start living for yourself. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants recognition, applause, and attention. But what separates the average from the great is what happens when no one is watching. When the lights are off, when the crowd is gone, when no one's clapping for you. That's when your real character is built. That's when the work that actually changes your life gets done. The truth is, success doesn't happen in public. It happens in private. You just see the results later. When nobody is watching, most people relax. They take their foot off the gas. They only give effort when someone's observing, when someone might notice. That's why they stay stuck. They're driven by external accountability instead of internal discipline. But the ones who truly rise, the ones who make it, do the opposite. They train harder when no one's around. They study longer when nobody expects them to. They give 100% even when there's zero recognition waiting on the other side. Because their standards don't depend on eyes watching. They depend on the vision they hold for themselves. You see, the world celebrates the performance, not the preparation. Everyone claps when the athlete wins the medal, but nobody sees the early mornings, the lonely nights, the days of self-doubt. Everyone admires the entrepreneur's success, but no one saw the hundreds of silent failures before the first breakthrough. Everyone loves the results, but nobody respects the process, because the process is quiet, it's lonely, it's repetitive, and that's why most people quit before they ever see results. But that's where the difference is made. That's where the foundation of greatness is built, in the dark, when there's no reward, no audience, no recognition. That's when you either fold or you rise. It's easy to post about discipline. It's easy to talk about ambition. But it's hard to show up day after day when no one's cheering, when the results are slow, when doubt creeps in. And if you can do that, if you can keep going in the silence, you're already miles ahead of everyone else. Discipline means doing what needs to be done regardless of who's watching. It's keeping your promises to yourself, even when no one would know if you broke them. Because that's where real power comes from, self-respect. You can't fake that. You can't buy it. You earn it through consistency. Every morning you wake up and do the work when you don't feel like it. You build a little more confidence. Every time you resist the easy path, you strengthen your will. That inner strength is the real reward. The external success is just the echo of it. When you work in silence, something special happens. You develop focus. There are no distractions, no noise, no opinions. Just you and your craft. You start understanding yourself better. Your weaknesses, your patterns, your potential. You begin to see progress, slow but steady, and it fuels you from within. You stop comparing yourself to others because you realize this path is yours alone. That's how mastery is built. That's how legends are made. Not through validation, but through relentless repetition in solitude. You need to fall in love with being unseen. That's your advantage. When no one's watching, there's no pressure to perform. You can fail quietly, learn faster, and grow freely. You're not distracted by judgment. You're not tempted by applause. You can focus entirely on getting better. Think of it like this. The most dangerous fighter isn't the loudest one in the ring. It's the one who's been training for years in silence, sharpening his skills while everyone else was busy showing off. When his moment comes, he doesn't need to talk. His work speaks for him. That's how you should approach your life. Stop broadcasting every move. Stop waiting for someone to acknowledge your effort. Let your results speak. Let your improvement be so undeniable that people have to notice. Every time you choose to work quietly, you're building leverage. Every day you stay consistent when others quit, you're separating yourself from the masses. And one day, when your time comes, you'll explode onto the scene, and everyone will call it overnight success. But you'll know it wasn't luck. It was the hundreds of days when you worked with no spotlight. This is where self-mastery begins, when you stop working for approval and start working from purpose. When you wake up early not because someone told you to, but because your goals demand it. When you push through exhaustion not for praise, but because your future depends on it. That's what greatness requires, invisible effort, work that nobody sees but everyone feels later. Think about the greats. Kobe Bryant wasn't great because of the cameras. He was great because of the mornings he spent shooting alone in the gym before anyone arrived. Muhammad Ali wasn't great because of his talk. He was great because of the miles he ran when nobody was watching. Every masterpiece, every song, every business, every idea was once created in silence by someone who refused to stop when no one cared. That's the truth most people don't want to accept. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's routine, boring, uncelebrated grind. But if you can fall in love with that, if you can make peace with working alone in the shadows, then the spotlight will find you eventually. Not because you chased it, but because you earned it. You can't cheat that process. You can only endure it. So when you feel like your effort doesn't matter, when you feel invisible, remember this. You're not being ignored, you're being built. The silence isn't rejection, it's training. It's the universe giving you time to sharpen your tools before you step onto the stage. Don't rush that process. Don't crave shortcuts. The ones who rush never last. The ones who build patiently in silence, they dominate. There's a power that comes from doing the work quietly. It creates certainty. You no longer need to prove yourself because you know you've put in the hours. You know what you've earned. That calm confidence is unshakable. People can doubt you, talk about you, underestimate you, but they can't stop what's already been built in the dark. So build when no one's watching. Train when no one cares. Learn when no one's listening. Because the world doesn't owe you recognition. It owes you opportunity, and that opportunity comes to those who are prepared. Let everyone else chase validation while you chase excellence. Let them talk while you work. Let them rest while you rise, because the day will come when the lights turn on, the world looks at you, and they call you lucky. But you'll know, you were just the one who kept building when no one was watching.